a lot of physical damage towards the Roshan, the minus armor, as well as buffing up the team. So now they can maybe pick something like a Beastmaster type hero that just enables you. You want to threaten the Rosh, I think, when you have heroes like Enigma that are very stationary in the early to mid game, and you want to kind of drag them around, forcing them to look to use their ultimate but not be able to. That's kind of how I look at it. And since you have the Slark Puck, you're definitely looking for that mobile game. And they go for the tree. Off lane tree?
Core Venge?
No, it could be Core Venge.
It might be Core Venge.
It could be either.
I like 3 Venge. And I really like 3 Venge with 4 Treant if they're laning together.
This is a scary lane. Who do you pick carry into this?
Minus armor from the Venge makes Treant hit for a ridiculous amount in the lane. Yeah. Venge struggles a little bit with running heroes down in lane, but Treant has those 2 reliable slows, so you can keep running at people. And I think also Treant has a side benefit in this game in his ability to just mess with Chen. It's honestly pretty annoying. If the Treant plays really well, he can run around blocking camps with his tree walking, has really easy access to placing wards that you don't see, so you don't get your camps the way you want. It's pretty cool. It's very different, I would say.
It also, there's just a lot of heroes that come to mind for me against Slark, like the Void, that just don't feel good anymore. Because you have this Treant Venge, like they don't want to lane against it. That you have the save from the Venge. Naga makes sense. They already banned out the PL. We've been seeing a lot of Naga picked up when the PL's banned, and it's already a good PL game. Pretty similar heroes in terms of what they're good against. The Manta Builder against Tree. You have the setup for Black Hole. Overall, we've been seeing mixed success from Naga, but it is quite good against Slark. Who's the mid laner again? Puck?
Probably, yeah.
Not nearly as good against Puck as it was against TA last game.
I mean, could you put just Tiny versus Puck, or does not work?
No, I'm saying like in the game.
Yes.
Like
you could put Tiny against Puck and put Naga in the safe lane, but I'm not sure if Naga Chen can do well against a well-playing Venge Treant. It sounds pretty tough for Naga in the start. Like Naga's general laning presence comes from having high base armor and using the illusions, but Treant's damage is kind of just overwhelming for most safe lane heroes.
So you got to choose between a lesser evil, I guess? Like, who do you want to have a better game? Surely the Naga.
I think you put the Tiny mid still. You want the levels, because if you look at the Enigma lineup, it's really slow. You've got Naga and Enigma in the same team. Yeah. That's very slow. So somebody has to compensate. Give Weeha levels, let him make moves around the map and buy time.
We definitely talked. This really does write the story of what we talked about going into this series of Team Nigma is the team that wants to stabilize first 10-15 minutes, get online, and then execute their game plan better than everyone else. And then RNG is the team that just snowballs the momentum from the laning stage. They don't necessarily have like crazy strong lanes, but all 3 of their core is pretty strong in lane, and they are momentum heavy. Puck, Slark, whoever the core is, the trainer of the Venge. So I'm going to believe in RNG to force the issue, but if this game's even at like 15-20 minutes, I favor Enigma, but I don't think it's going to be the case.
I agree.
Same?
Exactly.
All right. Well, my 2 analysts have spoken. There's 2 other people that might have different opinions. I doubt it at this point, though. Let's hear from Cap and Kyle.
That's right, Cheever. It's an Enigma for Team Nigma, and Kyle, you have a theory about this, and I would love to actually hear a little bit more on it, because we talked a little bit about it on the panel, but I want to hear it again.
Oh, what? Just Enigma kind of provides the best of both worlds in the offlane, in the sense that you're going to have creeps that you can help push, and you can also buy all the items you would need, and it's a hard counter to Slark Wisp. The hardest thing as a Slark is when you're playing against multiple heroes that can ignore your ultimate. Now you can song out of it and just wait underneath, or you drop the pulse and you black hole, and Slark just takes so much % damage that you go down.
Do you agree with our panel, though, that this is going to be tough for Team Nigma to be able to buy enough time? It's a slower lineup having 2 cores like this, both in the Enigma as well as the Naga side.
You know, it seems that way, but I think they'll be a lot more aggressive than the panel's giving it credit for, especially if you go for like an HOD build on the Enigma. You have a Chen Rubik. These are very active supports. This is going to be a tiny mid. Arguably the best ganking mid in Dota right now. This is not exactly a lineup that has to do nothing, right? And Naga, while sure you will scale into the late game, the big benefit of the hero, 10 armor once you're under tower. You're one of the better laners in Dota 2. Yeah. And yeah, sure, it looks like maybe this will be a tri-lane down bottom. That would be interesting. It is a core Venge. The problem with the RNG lineup is that they just don't have any true Naga answers. They need to snowball, they need to win the lanes, and effectively just crush through the map and force Nigma onto their side of the map at all times.
Well, I'll just say I hope they're just getting the bounty rune and bouncing, because I don't know if
The battle begins.
I think they're already ill-equipped to be able to deal with the Naga Siren, and I'm not convinced a tri-lane is going to fix those issues, but we'll see. Miracle already takes a fair amount of damage here and could be chased down as Kuro, well, he's going to do what he can. Miracle's going to try and cut through the trees. Of course, that is Treant Protector. You're not going to be able to get away from him, and that will be your first blood. Well, speaking all this doom and gloom, but a first blood for the offlaner.
I'll be honest, watching Dota for the last few days has felt like a time jump back in the past. And one thing that's been missing are tri-lanes. And we're not going to see one here, but I'm very shocked we haven't seen any, because that's an easy way to shut down a Naga, right? Just put 3 heroes up against them, especially if one's a Treant. This bottom lane is strong still.
I've heard tri-lanes reference, some pro players were like, you know, people think this Treant Protector's so broken, but like everyone just defaults dual lane sort of deal. Like, I'm with you in the fact that I am a little bit surprised. People aren't trying to abuse the laning phase a little bit more, seeing how important it is.
It reminds me like when Omni first started getting picked, because for so long it was the highest win rate pub hero in Dota. It was approaching 60%, but never got picked in competitive. Then by day 2 when it started, it was being first dude. It's one of those like gentlemen's agreements, right? Like we won't tri-lane. It is kind of tedious to watch, especially in like a 3-on-1 scenario in both side lanes. So perhaps we'll just wait until later when teams lose the honor.
Were you one of those players, Kyle? Were you willing to forsake honor to be able to get a sneaky win?
It depends. We did. I mean, there were definitely some shenanigans. For a while, it's funny, like, last pick Brood or Huskar was seen as unclassy, whereas nowadays, if you're not afraid of that, you're being silly.
Yeah, nowadays, it's you do what you do to get the win. Our mid lane already seems to be going pretty well for Setsu. And this is a player who I think has been set up for success in this tournament, and it has paid off big dividends for RNG. He has been leading the way in a lot of these games, and just being the bid tempo controller and winning his matchups and then winning the side lanes for them.
Illusion!
He's off to a really nice start. Puck definitely one of the faster snowballing heroes. The problem will just be that, sure, in the mid game you can deal with this Naga, you could combo him down, find kills, but once you get the Manta Illusion up and you can just dispel the silence into an immediate song, suddenly there's really no answer to the Miracle Naga. And if there's one player in Dota that you're afraid of with the overall last pick, totally uncountered hard play, it's got to be this man.
I was talking to Rob a little bit about Nigma's playstyle, and I think that's something that has been sort of concrete in that they just are maintaining. There's no swapping around like they used to do with old Team Liquid and Matumba Man and such. They're keeping Weehaw in the mid lane, and they're keeping him on those tempo controllers, and they're giving Miracle the hard king. It just seems to be like a formula that they're willing to pump out time and time again.
Yep. And it's funny, too, because you saw another team, EG did the same, right? With the split up of Arteezy Sumail, you no longer have that role swap. It's just, Arteezy is our carry. We're going to try and put him on the win condition every single game. Even though Kuro is still torn up about the loss of Matu almost 6 months ago at this point, it's just that they thought this was the best business decision for the team. Let Miracle play the true one every single game, ride or die with him.
Why do you think some, like you said, EG is doing that, and obviously Nigma did that, so why do you think teams are drifting that direction? Does that have to do with meta? Does that have to do with something they learned from the 2-time TI winners? I
just feel like the game's gotten so complex nowadays. There's so many different variables you've got to worry about, not just playstyle, but item decisions, laning, rotations. It's so complicated if you also have this misunderstanding of like, okay, wait, who's playing which lane again? Who's actually going to play our carry? It just makes it simpler, I think. You already have plenty to innovate on. You don't need to do it with who's going mid any longer.
So let people just focus on what they do best, sort of deal.
There's also such a wide, diverse range of hero pools, whereas previously you'd see people more hero specialized and have the lane change. Nowadays, it seems like more players master their lane and then have 15, 20 heroes in the repertoire that they've mastered.
I have to say, I'm impressed by Flyby right now. It being top CS with Eventual Spirit doesn't really have the best starting base damage, so I'm surprised that he's doing so well against this Naga Siren. What do you think about this core Venge? It's a curveball that RNG threw us.
It is, and I love it personally, especially when you consider you're playing with a puck. It's a simple coil and to swap out. Even if you were to buy a BKB, if you have Ags on both here, or Ags on the puck, it's still like a 4.5 second stun through BKB. There's no counterplay to it. The Venge is going to swap you regardless. It's quite nice. You have a lot of AoE control thanks to the tree, so you don't really...
Kuro could be in trouble here, September. You can't juke through the trees, man. It's just something so annoying about the Treant Protector, and it's something that you easily forget every single time, but you pretty much just have to run in a straight line against that hero.
The only downside of the Venge is traditionally you're very weak against one thing, either creeps or illusions. Obviously, Naga and Enigma are going to provide both. You just don't do anything to a Naga Siren. He's going to want to probably go for more of a right-click build. I imagine he'll need a Mjolnir at some point. You need to find a way of dealing with these illusions.
Okay, but I feel like what you gave me was that could be easily applied to Vengeful Spirit as a support as well. Why do you think they ran it as a core specifically, right? Because they could have had a 4 Venge, still done the swapping shenanigans with a puck and
I think
picked a different offlaner.
They just wanted an answer to the Enigma. And Tria, no matter what, will always be able to interrupt that BKB black hole, so we can expect Mind Control to be forced into a more aura sustain item build. He's doing amazing, by the way. 29 and 28 on Enigma. That is incredible. I'm sure some of those are Eidolon denies, but either way, you can look at the XP differential, right? 4.5 already on this Radiant side, still just level 3 on RNG.
Yeah, against a support that has no nukes, they don't have an easy way to be able to actually claim the last hit on these Eidolons. So a Wiz is going to come out, poke at one of them, and then Mind Control's like, boop, just denies it away from him.
I really like this dueling setup. It was similar to what they did yesterday with the Furion Disruptor combo. You have a bunch of creeps and then 2 ranged heroes. Same scenario here, and it makes GH, it just activates his hero, right? Because he doesn't need, he doesn't provide too much on the hold up. Weeha's getting gone.
Oh, he's going to stretch that coil to its limits, and he's going to try and dodge the orb. Still gets hit by it. Setsu's not able to quite finish him off, but he has jumped on him with the silence. Weeha's still tanky enough. He can survive through a couple more hits. He's going to try and hide away the trees, but he knows Setsu. He roots him out and jumps away to his orb. Very nice kill there. Fly is actually going to challenge Kuro here, and he's going to win that challenge for sure, especially with the living armor on him. And Kuro dies once again. Well, he's creating a lot of space for a miracle, I guess.
Hey, he's keeping him off him at least. And yeah, you can see that's going to be the HOD build on Mind Control. It's really cool. 5 different heroes, but that same concept is what they used in Game 3 yesterday against Pandas in that decider. You just push so fast. Mind Control pop Eidolons, he'll have a creep, and suddenly all these towers could just die in a quick rotation, especially once he hits 6. What's Monet supposed to do? He can't camp here any longer. There's no stun on the IO.
Yeah, that was something that I was a bit surprised. Moving from one esports and then this event as well, it's like teams were willing to play slower and slower. They were willing to draft more hard carries, get a little bit greedier, and it seems like Nigma have spotted that trend and said, well, we know how to counter that. GH going to be chased down here. Nice 2-man coil, so they might be able to pick up the extra kill, but Super's a little bit low. He's got to run away from these Eidolons. Mind Control is only level 5 here. The Rubik will finally fall. Mind Control is trying to chase down Super. Has so many Eidolons here that he feels confident being able to stand and fight, but it does feed away a lot of Eidolons over to Setsu. Not quite a hero kill, but it's a decent chunk of change.
And that's what BSJ and Sin were talking about, right? RNG's coming out with strong lanes. They've already got 5 kills in the opening, but as you can see, the net worth lead not quite there. A big part of that's just because this top lane has done such a great job of hard denying. So as you can see, Slark, oh man, that's rough. Because this is the hero, if there's something that can deal with the Naga that actually gets ahead and secures you the game, it's going to be the Slark. And he's just above Kuro's Chen. This is not where you want your carry to be. And it's just really cool by Enigma because this Enigma specifically shuts down the game winner for RNG.
Yeah.
Even if they fall a bit behind, they get more time on the clock before they really get in trouble because Slark's going to need to recover. And RNG, you just can't make moves if he's still this far behind.
I think we saw like yesterday, Gambit do a little bit where they like heavily focused on shutting down a Storm Spirit, Excess Vampire, and it's like tiny rotation. They heavily focused on it because they're like, that's the one win condition. You know, sometimes it doesn't matter if you lose your other lanes as long as you keep the main hero of the enemy team down.
And the thing about Puck, I know there's been changes. The late game is significantly stronger than it was in the past, but you're still a snowballer. It's similar to the Monkey King that we saw the other day, a lot like Quap. Ooh, Monet.
Ooh, that's a little bit close. Weeha. Not going to be able to close that distance quite yet to be able to get that toss. But they are at least still keeping the Slark on his toes and away from that level 6, which then allows him to jungle a lot more proficiently. And it just kind of builds up from there. That means Miracle is getting a lead on him, quite heavy one at that.
The man to watch is Setsu. He's rotated up towards top. I like this decision because otherwise mind control, he's just going to pressure this Slark and eventually take tower. Instead, you take your puck with the huge advantage, plant him there, and just let Monet recover middle as the Tiny is going to look to start moving around the map.
Well, we are going to be able to get 3 for RNG and Belled Outpost. Well done. That's just the value of the Train Protector right there, right? He sneaks the Bounty Rune and the Outpost at bottom, and they already had control over top.
Nice job. Right place, right time. Yeah, we got to keep our eye on Setsu because there's really no true answer to the puck right now. At the same time, it's one of those ganking snowball or mid heroes. You die 1 or 2 times in the early mid game, you start falling off hard. All of a sudden, Miracle doesn't feel as much pressure, and you're in trouble. And he already got 2 of the best items for Naga: the Broom Handle and the Ironwood Branch.
Just some nice raw stats. Miracle will play around mid because it's a nice place to play as an Augustine, right? You just push out a wave, then go default jungle for a little bit. You don't feel any pressure of being ganked this close to your tower and being that tanky of a hero, 1200 HP.
And it's the nice job. Good side kill. It's going to be the team fight of Nigma that's important, and what they've done so far, yeah, you're bleeding kills around the map, but you've kept your towers alive. In fact, they haven't even felt much pressure. That's huge because you're so good at taking big engagements around objectives. You have a song into Black Hole. Like, we've seen this how many times succeed in Dota 2.
Is under attack.
Would you agree with this analysis in that, like, in a way, towers just means more chances for those kind of team fights to succeed? Flywind, okay, they have the relocate coming in. That's why they were being so aggressive. Weehan's gonna get caught by the overgrowth, ensuring that Setsu can't help get the kill with helping hand in Super, who lands the last hit. They're gonna probably lead the puck here to be able to chase down Kuro, who doesn't have, I think, a ton of hope in surviving here as he's now slowed down by September. Swap back even. And they can even deal with the neutral creeps and maybe finish off this tower.
And this is what RNG's done all tournament, right? I'm telling you they're on a clock, but if you can continue to make these sorts of plays, nice escape there from the Wisp on the exit of that fight, this is where they're strong. The map is split, someone plays a little aggressive, Nig will get antsy, then boom, there's a reload, you pick up 2 kills, you kill a tower, now a 2K lead at just 12 minutes. It's about maintaining this momentum. This is not a large enough lead. They've got to expand it. By 20 minutes, you want to be at least 6K gold ahead, preferably a couple more towers, maybe even a Roche threat.
And it should be, I think it's pretty reasonable to expect that, especially since they should be able to take more objectives. I'm surprised they're actually losing top lane right now, seeing as they have a Train Protector, but it seems like nobody is able to make that kind of rotation to defend it. In mind control, he gets the tower, and I'm not even sure if he's going to be that upset if he dies here. Setsu TPing in behind him onto the outpost that was still controlled by the Dire, and so sure enough, he does die.
Dude, Setsu's playing out of his mind right now. Such an impressive performance thus far. It started with the solo kill on Wii. I believe he's been a part of all but one, or actually he's been a part of every kill except for all the Kuro deaths down bottom to that dual lane.
Dire's middle tower.
I would love to see what our Train Protector's build is. If it's just been kind of the normal build so far as a 4th position. Weeha getting caught. No, okay, there's going to be a teleport coming in from Nigma. They're thinking maybe Weeha's tanky enough he can survive through this, and sure enough, he is. He's still got a good 600 HP to go. Now, the turnaround. Nigma hoping to be able to catch somebody here, but RNG have retreated to their high ground, and that's a place that Nigma will not want to pursue.
Now, it's important to note, Nigma, their issue at the moment is that before Naga's online, there's just no sustained damage. And you're playing against a Wisp and a tree with a Venge swap behind it. There's no way you can actually find kills unless someone really overextends. You can see RNG, that quick back, they're making sure they don't throw away this lead, because right now, they have total dominance of this map.
We wants to try and get the toss, but jumps away to the ore pretty easily, and unfortunately, Kuro and all of his creeps were not set up to catch him just yet.
Yeah. You actually have significant damage issues on Nigma. It's like all defensive. They're effectively playing for that one knockout punch around an objective where you get a 3-man black hole after a song. Maybe Tiny Rubik Chen isolates somebody with a stun lock on the side. But if RNG keep this up, look at how they're playing the map. 1 hero top, 1 bot, 1 in the jungle, 2 mid, trying to make sure they maximize their farm all around the map. You can check out the damage. Setsu, more than the rest of his team combined thus far. A hell of a puck so far.
Meanwhile, our Slark not even up to 1K because he had a bad laning phase, and he's been trying to recover ever since.
Miracle going to be finishing his Manta first.
Are you at all surprised to see Manta? Because I thought maybe he would go for Diffusal just because you said maybe they play a little bit more aggressive.
No, you can't. Manta's the better farming item, and it also severely negates the tree's ability to hunt you throughout the jungle because you can now just dispel the root. And it's about accelerating. You are not winning this game at 30 minutes as Enigma. You're trying to buy time and get into the late game. And then the 5-6 slotted Naga like we saw in the previous game in that last series, you're looking for something like that.
Yeah, we've got so many things, right? We've got Overgrowth, we've got the Silence you could dispel, there's the Magic Missile you can dodge. All of these things just lead to Manta being an absolutely required item, which means a big power spike coming.
I love this item build on the Wisp. No boots, just Arcane Ring, mech already up. You do not have the ability to kill an RNG hero unless they're isolated. Expect them to beta fight soon here.
Yeah, well, RNG, they're going to make sure they're not isolated ever. Flywind, he's going to try and make the initiation here as Setsu follows it up with a coil that lands on a GH. They're going to try and finish off this Rubik first, but he's going to survive long enough. As the Overgrowth now going down, do they have a second round of damage? It's going to come soon from Setsu, but he's low on mana, actually. And with
Really
that
nice.
song allowing them to reset.
That's so cool from Enigma, that the fact that they have Miracle in the vicinity, while it's actually just Mind Control and Weeha just spreading out. They have no intention of fighting. It's just about delay tactics. Just buy time. Yeah, you might lose this mid tower, but force RNG to commit almost everybody and make it take as long as possible.
Is that why Kuro has 3 Eagle Song Rippers? Is he going to throw 3 tornadoes down lane or what? I've never seen that before. All right, well, here they come.
Climate change, man. These storms get bigger and bigger every year.
And RNG, they really want to finish off this tower, so they are going to commit even as the tornadoes come in. An attempt at a deny by GH, but Flywind managed to get the last hit.
Oh, no. Oh my God, a Vambrace for Miracle. Like, as if it... You know what's insane about that? It lowers your net worth, which is... I don't know if it's intended or not, but I've seen times like that 10K, that 5K lead, like RNG just jumped up. That actually, it's such a huge benefit because when you're behind in Dota, you get more gold. You get more experience every time you kill enemy heroes. It's the dream to lower your net worth as the hard carry. Come on.
Yeah. GH. Gonna be found by a Setsu, who picked up a haste rune.
Man. I just also realized RNG's trailing their inner wings, man. How many times do we see them run this Wisp Puck Venge combination?
I could dig it. I know plenty of online fans can dig it too, as everybody loves to be able to reference the old wings. Man, talk about like just an iconic team, man. Everybody fell in love with them. And who knows, maybe they're going to fall in love with RNG, who's already up 6K. Perhaps a little deceptive, but
I love the item build so far. RNG, you've got a Helm Dom and then a Hood on Fly to win, so he's just going to continuously run forwards. You know, Setsu, he can rely upon his Twitch reactions to get away and stay mobile. Monet, of course, is a Slark. He's always tough to take down. And Flywind is just going to run in gung-ho forwards with the support of September in that Wisp.
And while, yes, we have the Naga Siren finishing up that, Manta style, accelerating his farming, as well as a great defensive option, Setsu now has his Maelstrom. So he's going to be even stronger in team fights. He almost has his level 15 for the phase shift attack, making that Maelstrom perfectly timed.
It's also necessary. I'm very glad we see this instead of something like a Deso. You need to deal with illusions. Relo coming forward.
They are going to try and catch these heroes. GH is going to be spotted by September, and they have no problems blowing multiple ultimates to catch these heroes because they know Nigma do not plan on fighting them, therefore use whatever abilities you need to get the kill.
Just keep in mind, this is all part of the plan. This is the script for this game. It was going to be Nigma on the back foot, RNG trying to take a laning phase advantage and stretching it into something dominating, but it's all part of the plan for Nigma. This is a scenario that they most likely prepped for. You know you're going to start behind. It's all about waiting for that one shot. There's the BKB upcoming on Mind Control. If you can deal with the Venge in the tree, that is an uninterruptible black hole that you can set up with a song. That's what they're waiting for. That one opportunity to turn things around, immediately get a tower, maybe even Roshan, and then this game is completely equalized and Naga starts to become a problem. But for now, RNG still looking to hunt. 7-8K ahead, only 19 minutes in.
So what's the play? You song, and then you make sure to black hole one of them, and then Tiny gets on top of the other?
Yeah, or perhaps just toss them straight in, right?
Okay,
you have a lot of options.
Okay. See whether or not they're going to get the opportunity. It's 12-1 right now, 19 minutes in, as Kyle's emphasized this may look more dire, the numbers that is, than the actual situation is. Nigma do have a slower lineup, expected to be behind right now.
Yeah. And oh man, I just really like this from Monet as well. Just again, they're capitalized. They want survivability. You don't really have great answers to this massive team fight of Nigma. Just ensure you can try and outlive them, right? They're lacking sustained DPS. If you can survive the burst, you've got tree armor, you got a swap out, you've got a wisp that can mech you while tethered. There's just so many options to keep yourself alive if you just don't immediately get 100-0.
Setsu already leading off on Weeha as he enters the vision. They're going to lead off with a song, so this is going to be
Everyone's
Nigma,
here.
their first real offensive blitz. Can they actually catch multiple heroes here with a black hole? They're going to be able to grab both of them. Fly, Win, and Super are stuck. They don't have a cancel, especially with telekinesis tossing him back into the black hole. The two supports, the support and the off lane are already dead. Setsu, he's going to get caught as well. He gets blown up.
Oh, he bought back in. He's
to get back in. He's actually going to buy back and try and catch these heroes with the coil out. GH almost dead, but Steel, no, he doesn't actually manage to get it off. Miracle's getting quite low. Overgrowth out. Here comes a relocate as well. The phase shift attack, and that's enough to finish off the carry of Nigma. Yes, a big win by Nigma, but RNG invest in making sure they control the tempo of this game.
I don't like those buybacks. I know that you're getting counter kills. Yeah, you even take out Miracle, but is that worth it? You don't really get an extra objective. This tier 1 would have died on respawn anyway because Nigma aren't going to look to fight you with their big cooldowns down, but that's exactly what I mean. 20 minutes, there's an outpost objective. The Treant showed bottom. They know he's not in position to root, and there's no way he gets there in time, so they can immediately set up because the Venge is getting caught.
Yeah, and it was perfectly placed, the fact that both Super and Flywin were just close enough to each other that they could get the black hole on both of them. No fear of a relocate out, and very fortunate for them that Setsu does try and get into the mix there as well and ends up dying back. And we saw like basically a 3K net worth shift off of dying and buybacking like that.
You can see how quick it happens too, right? It felt like we almost lulled RNG kind of lulled to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And then boom, there's an aggro song out of nowhere, and suddenly you've lost 2. The puck died in like, Naga just shredded him, man.
Coil catch, that's gonna be Kuro.
But all these support kills, look at the net worth on Kuro. Like, what does he get, 224 gold? That doesn't matter to Super.
Yeah.
That was pre-BKB as well. You're going to have to play against it in that next engagement. And yes, it's a 6K lead, but keep in mind, there's 2 or 3 neutral items up on Miracle right now, so it is a bit deceiving, and that win probability graph is a bit broken at the moment because it's certainly not 100% to anybody.
I will say that RNG, like, they took your idea, like, yes, without the black hole, they're not going to fight anyway. So with those buybacks, they took the tier 1 tower, and they're still abusing this timing. They're going to try and take the tier 2 mid on their fresh round of life while the black hole is still down.
And this is how you got to play it, but I love what they're doing. Mind Control, he is not showing up to a fight unless they're planning on it as 5. He's staying in this top zone. Miracle doing the same, cutting waves with illusions, looking to farm jungle. The other 3 heroes, they're just throwing their bodies at the enemy, camping around towers. Sure, you might lose Kuro every couple of minutes, but they don't mind because it's elongating the time that these other cores have to stay on map. Diffusal up on Miracle. Ooh, Setsu, you gotta be careful.
This is a really big kill that Setsu's trying to set up for his team. Phase shift goes off.
Beautiful.
There goes the song. Still stuck in the coil, but eventually he will be able to TP out.
Look at that. Look how many, 5 heroes.
Yeah,
5
that's
heroes,
a lot of space.
All in their own jungle, next to their own shrine, and look at what Nigma do immediately. Swarm back into their woods, look to take map control back. Maybe they've got some wards to counteract, and it's just, importantly, it's space. This is, you said RNG was doing great. They're pressuring this tier 2 mid. One move by Miracle, all of a sudden all that momentum's lost. Now the creep wave's starting to shove back towards the dire side of the map.
I will say though, RNG, to their benefit, they have very mobile heroes.
Yes.
So even though they show up in their own jungle, they're able to spread out across the map really quickly between Puck as well as Slark, even the Wisp.
Now there's no song, and you're looking to force another objective.
Yeah, I mean, you force down the song, get what objective you can. You don't want to force a tier 2 if you can just take Roshan instead. Use that Aegis to then take it to tier 2.
And Rosh is so important against this combo play of Nigma because it means you'll be able to just throw out 1 life during the black hole. Sure, it doesn't matter. You can immediately come back up. Now there's nothing left in the gas for this Radiant lineup.
Do you think Nigma has to contest this Roshan? Like, do you think Weeha has to dive in here?
I don't. I think you might just keep harassing, look for an opening, see if you can find somebody out of position. You don't want to dive into the pit necessarily without your full arsenal of cooldowns available.
It's a risky scenario, and Nigma look like they could go for it here. They're going to keep on poking, as you said. We'll see whether or not there's going to be that commitment. They also have to be careful. RNG, in turn, committing onto them if they step a little bit too far forward.
BKB up on the puck now. We can ignore the song and get really aggressive onto this back line.
The BKB is complete for Mind Control as well.
They just have so much spam, especially with that stolen orb on Rubik. So GH is able to constantly provide vision to the pit.
Okay, they see the Tree Protector. They're going to lead up on him. They already have the chain, so they're going to be able to bring him down quite easily. And Roshan is low. There's a buyback on the tree. Monet, he's making sure that Nigma don't actually get a chance to get inside the pit. They do manage to get the two-man coil. They jump past. Immediately, Black Hole going down. And get both of them to swap over. Cancels that very quickly. Monet into the back line, trying to trap down GH as long as possible. Miracle wants to be able to burn him out as quick as possible with the diffuser blade, but he's going to be able to finish off Curl first. Without that, Luzong is actually up here, so he can reset this fight as he's being chased away, but GH is going to lose his line to Setsu first. Back farther up. They stopped chasing the Nagasar and went instead for Mind Control's Enigma, and it looks like Weehaw doesn't actually get caught there. Oh, Miracle, are you serious? Miracle's going to try and do a sneaky little play here. He's going to try and snatch up a Roshan if he can, but Setsu spots him. He's still going to go for it. Miracle, you're crazy. You're still thinking you're going to go for it here. Silence up, pounce. Okay, now he's going to have to try and use the song for the toss over the side. The toss in the air is just enough. Ooh, that last shot from Setsu. It wasn't a Maelstrom proc, so Naga Siren does live.
Man, what is it with these teams at the Tinies, man? I've seen too many times people being tossed into their own demise.
Weehaw goes in and he doesn't get it. The Aegis is picked up by Monet, as is the Roshan kill. Nigma, I mean, from your perspective, you're sitting here an analyst and saying, like, I don't think they have to take that. And Nigma were willing to take the risk and they did not get the reward.
It's just so good from Setsu. He immediately goes for Mind Control with BKB popped. It doesn't matter if he's getting Black Hold. He's not actually going to be able to, you can't kill him. There's no damage coming out. Yeah, sure, you lost September. He immediately bought back. They forced Enigma around the pit, but they weren't ever going to go and Zerg the Roche. They wanted the fight on their terms. They got it. Wiped the floor with them now, 20-6. Huge lead. Really well done. And Monet, thanks to that Implaw, the Ring of Aquila, yeah, sure, he might be behind, but he has Echo Saber, Ags, plus the 2 neutral items and treads. He's effectively, like, he's huge.
Yeah.
His net worth might not reflect it, but those items are worth at least 3,000 combined, and that puts them on top of the game.
I really like your point about RNG. What they care about there is taking the fight.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I think, like, if you look at this lineup, a Slark or a Puck with an Aegis, that's not going to allow you to break high ground. You're still going to lose to the big team fight if they can execute it correctly. So being able to win the fight and take the engagement outside of the base, that's the real win.
Yeah, and the itemization is flawless thus far. You've got the Glimmer Cape mech on the IO. Venge has gone full Aura strat, Helm Dom, Vlad's, Pipe. You don't have that option yet on Nigma because you had to go for that BKB on your Enigma. Mind Control not able to go for those team items just yet.
Weehaw tries to get the toss away. Monet, okay. That Agams. Okay, there's the swap from Flywind. You spoke about the aura. It's very smart of him to build the telescope as well.
Yeah.
That's just one more aura to help out that team.
Yeah, it's just, it's looking good for RNG. This is what they've shown all tournament. Haven't really been challenged in the event thus far, and looking good in this game. But remember, it's Enigma Naga. You're one mistake, one overextension away from a critical error.
It's always a little bit hard to hit those Aghanim pounces. But now, locked down by an overgrowth. Miracle's finally going to be forced into that song. But this is where Setsu comes in. With the BKB, he knows he can just hold on to the foil and deal with Miracle at his leisure.
This is a hell of a puck performance, man. This is what they needed, though, right? Which is why it's tough to call in a pregame because you can't really ever cash on a puck playing near flawlessly. Kuro, he's died 7 times. Looks like it might be
an 8. That pounce was right on target.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, this is what, Nigma yesterday won that critical game 3 by playing aggressive, by taking the fight to the Pandas. This time it's RNG playing up-tempo and abusing this global mobility. To your point, this is something we've talked about being critical in this new patch. Heroes like Puck, Wisp, Slark, they can just cut across so quickly. Venge as well. Treant with the Invis Walk. They can move around the map so much faster than Nigma, so it's easy to avoid those 5-on-5s that this Enigma lineup could use to perhaps turn things around.
Monet loses his BKB for a short while, so we'll see if that costs him anything as Weehaw continues to go for his very aggressive, risky, he's just trying to cut creep waves and bring people back, but you can't. Again, the mobility, they come back, they deal with you, and then they're right back in your face again.
Think about where those 3 last kills happened, right? It was Miracle down bottom where that Radiant creep wave is. Yeah. It's up top left in the trees, and then it's in the dire bottom jungle.
That is literally like
3
max
corners.
Distance you can get, yeah.
You talk about controlling the triangle. Well, RNG have made the map into a...
Well, that space from
isosceles.
Weehaw does allow mind control to get this outpost. We'll see whether or not he gets to control it, though,
For
as
now.
the 30 minutes is coming up.
Yeah, 40 seconds. Looks like RNG might be grouping up for a smoke, thinking about making something happen. But again, it's just so much easier to play with this Wisp because you can always be 2 into... Oh my god!
Well, they're certainly going to find out, hey, the mech is actually going to heal him a decent amount. And Monet may not be able to commit for that kill. Okay, they're going to throw out the Dream Coil. And Setsu, can he get it?
Stole.
No. Super, now locked out of all of his mana. He's going to be left to die here. They had that ward inside the base, which Nigma certainly know about now. But Monet just getting a bit over-aggressive there, especially without his BKB. And immediately, Nigma see a little bit of weakness from RNG. With an IO down, this is an opportunity for them to smoke out.
Yeah, at least get some wards, try and take back control of the map in some regard. Miracle starting to become a problem. He has that Manta Diffusal, which means his damage is online. The Heart is going to drastically increase his survivability, and then that Butterfly timing. That's the one where things start to get dicey for RNG. For now, though, still commanding position, 13K ahead.
Pounce number 1. Doesn't quite catch
wrap
Weehaw.
around.
They do have the...
They found someone.
Yep, they got the scan. Flywin gets
Got
caught
BKB.
immediately by the ensnare. BKB going off. Now he's going to turn and try and catch whatever heroes. He wants mind control really badly. That's why he swapped him back into the coil. No Aghanim still because that means mind control is able to walk out of him. But another swap comes in and mind control is going to fall now, as is Kuro, which was just a given. At this point in the game,
You can see the power of the tree, too. September was just camped there. Yeah, it might have looked like Mind Control could have got both heroes with the BKB Black Hole, but he knows that there's a tree just waiting to root him and interrupt. So there's no... You can afford to utilize both swaps aggressively to put him in a position where he has to fight, not flight. And there's still somebody there to counteract the big ulti if necessary. Enigma's still just not...
Oh,
just play that
September.
aggressive.
He found Weehaw, and he's going to be able to cancel that Blink Dagger. Gets a little bit of distance there with that Glimmer Cape that he's got. Didn't really expect that itemization from him, but it may have just saved his life. His Flywind still does not have the swap charges back up.
Heart now up on Miracle. He's gonna make himself bait. Make RNG overextend. You need to get at least a 3-man black hole if you're gonna win any sort of engagement here. Just look how tanky these heroes are. This Venge with near 2,000 health on strength treads, plus all these auras. So Slark probably gonna go for either a Scotty or an Abyssal, increase his HP pool even more. September's level 17, man. These guys have such a huge XP lead. Compare that to Kuro's 12. He's the Treant and the Naga are the same level, Cap.
That's a good way of putting it. Weehaw continuing to play the sides of the map and trying over and over again to do that, but he's been caught by the Slark. Does manage to land 1 pounce on him. The relocate coming in as well to be able to help him out, but it looks like Weehaw's managed to drift away into the trees once again, thanks to that Glimmer Cape. That Glimmer Cape has been really on point. You like that play-by-play? All from a mini-map. I'm a god.
Rich is rubbing off on you the wrong way, Cap.
7-26, a 15K gold lead, but it doesn't feel like a very large gold lead just because the threat of Nigma coming back off one team fight. That team fight's certainly not going to be happening around Kuro. Nigma have no problems cutting those ties with their captain and just leaving him to die every single time he's jumped on.
Yep, Setsu still skying away on top of the net with chart. Really impressive performance so far. Just the one death. But more importantly, he's been the one being aggressive, in fact, for the entire game. And here's more.
Yep, one more time. All right, this time we've got vision. Weehaw, you're not getting away with that Glimmer Cape again. So at what point in time, is there any time that you would say, RNG, okay, you just have to go the high ground. You can't mess around with trying for these pickoffs anymore? Or do you think this is going exactly the way RNG wants? They're going to get enough pickoffs and eventually go high.
So far, it's according to plan. One of the mistakes that a lot of inexperienced teams would make in this scenario is to get too aggressive because you feel the pressure of the clock. You already have enough of a lead that you're much stronger than your enemy, but it's about taking the right fight. You've already taken all the tier 2s. Roshan hasn't spawned yet. Once you get the Aegis, once you have everybody slotted up and buybacks prepared, then you can look to play for the win. But it's important that when you take that fight, you're able to fully commit. That means an Aegis. That means everybody's able to buy back. So in the event you make a bit of a mistake, because you have to be aggressive, you have to be inside the base, you could lose 3, still buy back against 0 cooldowns left from Nigma, and then take 1, maybe 2 racks. That gives you the lead enough to win the game. If you do that too soon, you have to take that engagement without enough of a lead to make that sort of maneuver, and you can backfire. All of a sudden, it's a 10-slotted Naga, and you're in deep doo-doo.
Especially since the way that Setsu has played this game so well, his damage is kind of keeping up with the tankiness that is coming from Miracle, because he's now got both the Maelstrom as well as the Desolator I've seen from the Orb proc.
Yeah, a big part of it is they've itemized so well that you're not as afraid of this Butterfly next item. You're going to have the Mjolnir, you have Slark with his next item in addition to a neutral, so you'll have 2 cores that are near 6-slotted, plus your Venge with like 4 different auras. So everyone's very tanky, you have high survivability, you'll be able to live through this black hole most likely, and if not, buyback, there's not going to really be any damage on Nigma once these illusions fall. Bounty runes, 2, 1 for 1? No, 3 going the way of RNG.
Weeha is trying to find the answer to your damage problem that we've seen throughout this game. He's just going for a Dagon straight up. Meanwhile, Monet with the
I love it
there as well.
We didn't see this yesterday in that game. I believe there was a PL that just got way too big and eventually took over. There were no Mjolnirs. If you want to beat Illusion Heroes with no true counter, buy Radiances, buy Mjolnir. If you don't deserve to lose, RNG not going to be caught sleeping in this one.
Certainly not, and they're not going to let their outpost lie in the favor of Team Nigma for long. Script up around mid. It looks like they may be going for a smoke or something as I see a courier being delivered. He's expecting kind of an aggressive move, and Monet, well, he's going to go. He's going to oblige and make an aggressive move, and he actually lands into GH, who still on phase shift, but is, well, he's got another phase shift in a second here. Maybe he can get the blink off this time around. He should. Oh, he didn't. Well, that's unfortunate.
The reach, man. Talk about kill potential, right? We discussed how Disruptor was so popular in the patch. You've got a Puck, a Slark with double pounces, the double swaps, plus relocate
available. Way! He almost, he found mind control. The mind control is forced to use his BKB.
That's huge. You have a 60-second window now. You can potentially just go high ground. You know that there's no huge black hole threat. All the Venge or Tree have to do is stand on the side. As long as they don't die during black hole to like the other heroes or get tossed in or something wild, this is a free push.
Well, fortunately, the mid lane is pushed in because Weeha was already cutting the bottom wave. Now he's actually cutting mid right now, so it just leaves RNG this one wave to work with.
I like this choice. Miracle, buyback's irrelevant. You need to be strong as possible. He buys a Butterfly to ensure he's got the DPS to hopefully contest this push.
Yeah, because they're not even that much trouble in that situation, right? As long as Weeha cuts the creep waves, well, the illusions can be sent out and deal with the creeps that are inside the base, and eventually RNG is going to deal with backdoor protection. Looks like a couple creeps got snuck in there, and they're gonna swap back onto mind control. That's a massive kill with no BKB. He quickly falls. He does have a buyback, another swapping from Flywin is gonna be able to catch GH. A lot of priority on that hero, but they do have the 2 buybacks coming in, especially with the song. Can Nigma set this up correctly though? Monet still had his BKB. He was able to pop it out, swap back onto mind control once again. But this time around, no Dream Qual, and Flywin's gonna die for that swap back. Now a toss over as well. They're gonna be able to catch September. September is gonna use the overgrowth and run the other direction. Can he actually get out of here into the trees? TP's out. Bye-bye, September.
You could not have played it better on RNG. You forced the buyback. Now you can all in. You've got a 7.5-second window where if you kill mind control, you straight up win the game. And that's only because they were willing to hard commit, but not so much so you saw the BKBs. It was a great song by Miracle, but there was still enough seconds left on the immunity to get away from that position where all 3 were on top of each other. Maybe then MC could spin this around, but really good job there. Even the nice escape by September gets the ult off and just gets out of dodge. And now RNG, you're going to wait for your Venge and sweep immediately back into this Radiant side of the map.
RNG are truly showing that it's not about the time at the top of the screen, but the opportunities. And when you can push the high ground, and they certainly found an opportunity, force some errors out of Nigma, and now they are pretty much just one good fight away from, closing out the game, essentially, right? With no buyback on Enigma, and this is what the whole lineup's about, is that black hole. Okay, coil onto 1, Miracle. Immediately goes for the song. BKB activated by Zetsu, and he's doing so much damage. Kuro's definitely going to be dying here. Miracle, the stun finally wears off, and mind control popping his BKB. Thought he was going to go for the black hole or something, but blinks away instead. And Miracle died. He's going to be okay, but mind control still trod. Okay, the swap from GH, was that?
Yeah, it was.
And Mind Control might be able to live as a result. GH gives them a little bit more distance to work with. Now the Meteor Hammer is going to land on a Weehaw, so they at least get that core kill. But Mind Control, if he died with no buyback. Like,
that was crazy from GH. My
Jesus.
God. This is why this man's TI winner.
All of a sudden, like, there's just a swap, and he's not even there because he instantly blinked away as well.
He had a 1/10 of a second to get away from that orb location, or he would have caught the damage and immediately died. But no, blinks out in time, and what a game so far. RNG still looking to close this out. No BKB on Enigma. They've just got to find that kill.
RNG, they've played a great game so far. Very clean, very few mistakes, and they're in the best position they've been all game to finally end this barracks. They have the Aegis and Cheese on the Slark, so dying there is not that big of a deal. But Miracle's coming in for the side, going straight for September, trying to deal with one of the black hole threats. But Miracle immediately has 2 cores. But the black hole comes in on the 3 with Thompson as well. But the swap finally stops it. With the group of so many heroes, September's already dead. But Miracle down to half health. Monet just does not let him get away. Song of Siren going off. Miracle still stuck in that pounce, and the leash lasts a long time. He's still stuck. That toss doesn't allow you to be able to get away. Miracle, can he get out? While Monet, he pounces on board, ignores Curls. He wants Miracle. They need to be able to get him out of here. Swap for swap. GH does it once again. He does manage to lock down Super. Miracle turns on him, but the Aeon is going to be able to protect him for the time being. The phase shift attack going out. Zetsu locking down Miracle. He wants to be able to chase him down with that orb, and he's almost dead too. Miracle managed to dodge a little bit more. Can he get back to the fountain before Monet? No, because the orb growth locks him down, and that is it. Nigma down with 5, no buybacks, and RNG looking like beasts here at playoffs.
Unbelievable. You see that level 25 talent, Dream Coil Rapid Fire. He immediately just goes for Miracle, and all the illusions are dead. So yeah, you're taking this fight, you get a nice black hole. Venge is still there for the swap out. What a fight. Man, RNG, they played that about as well as you possibly could, and I feel like we're going to look at this and be like, oh, Enigma played badly, they got run over. But no, that was the draft.
Yeah.
This was a strategical flaw. You come in expecting RNG to make a mistake. They don't. The entire game. You need more to deal with this mid game. You cannot try and bank on their ability to play into the 45+ minutes because RNG, they just have way too much.
Yeah. Strategic win for RNG and flawless play.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you mix those two things together, and it feels like this team is just going to take the minor by storm, easily headed to the major, and look like a great threat. But this is Team Nigma we're talking about. These guys play second at TI. Of course, they have plenty of opportunities to be able to come back in a best of 3 because they've got Kuro. You said, draft advantage to the favor of RNG, so...
It, to me, is just, you look at this, this is a lineup built on, well, we're going to stall, wait for the knockout punch. That one big mistake, we turn this around. I don't want to see Enigma play against RNG in this manner.
Let's see go up 3 against Fighting Pandas. Let's say fast.
Tempo. Play with aggression and utilize like that early game. Nahaz called these guys the best early game team in Dota.
True.
It doesn't matter how good you are if you're in that sort of position where you legitimately just cannot make plays. Also thought RNG had really cool rotations, like the puck going towards top. You alleviate the pressure. They kept all their tier 1s alive for nearly the entire game. Like that's how you win against a squad that needs map control like that Radiant
Well,
side.
we've heard what Kyle wants to see. Let's see what our panel wants to see from Team Nigma.
Let's talk about that, because what we saw from Nigma in this first game, I mean, it wasn't all bad, but it wasn't great. We started this series off saying, or this game specifically, if it goes to minute 15, it will go to minute 15 regardless. But if at minute 15 the game is slightly in RNG's favor, or in RNG's favor, they're going to take the game. That was the consensus, right?
Yeah, it had to be within reach
Yeah.
at that point for Team Nigma. That was kind of the timing I imagine. Usually when one team looks that favored going out of the laning stage, and they saw all these other teams picking Naga Siren and coming back from like a decent to mediocre laning stage, but that one was just too much. And, RNG just said, get the puck out of here, man.
You've been saving that.
I've been saving it for a while. I was waiting until a team slapped somebody with a puck. There we go, I got it.
I mean, for Nigma, I think they should ban it. They should get it out of here, because Setsu on that hero is just an absolute beast.
But that's the thing about it, though, right? Is that you might get into this problematic situation where you don't have enough bans. Because I don't think any of Nigma's bans in this game were not justified. I think they were all good. You just have to pick your poison. More than anything, it's just problematic when you're facing a team that we've seen in the group stage. They play fast, they fight, they snowball on you. I don't think playing a defensive approach is the solution to this. I think that's a thing of the past where you're digging back half a year, you'll get that team fight eventually and win the game off it, but the disadvantage just mounts too quickly. I don't think Nigma played an awful game. I just think it was really difficult to do what they needed to do. They had that one moment of brilliance top that was kind of the only highlight for them the whole game.
Yep.
It's the exact one we're seeing right here, Song of the Siren into a two-man black hole on exactly Io and Venge, while Puck is not in a position to cancel this black hole. This was kind of the only, and even this got turned around by a really cool buyback play from Setsu. Coming back in here.
If I say so, I think the Slark pick proved itself to be as good as we predicted it would be in the draft, just because they picked this Enigma solely because they're like, oh, we got to pick something that deals with Slark. And that just gave them what we thought, you know, like, wait, there's still Venge in the pool. That hero's still there. That's like such a good pick. Yeah, it's a core Venge. We're not used to seeing that, but you pick this Enigma hero who then they all in it with the Naga Siren combo, and you just have a double swap. Like, you're not shutting that down. You don't have this Puck hero type to jump the Venge in the back. I love how they all itemize BKBs for the Song, even the Venge itemizing a BKB of her own to make sure that he can swap out the Enigma anytime there's a black hole. RNG has just done a really good job of being ahead in this situation and really just cutting off any chance of the opponent to come back through their items, through their play, and they're just not going to make the same mistakes that we saw teams like Gambit make in the last series when they're ahead. And if they proceed to win this series on RNG, the way that GeekFam has been winning, especially last two games, where they kind of come back and force you to make mistakes, I don't think they're going to do that. And teams have seemingly willingly giving them this advantage in the laning stage. Like, they didn't have any plays to make. They drafted themselves into a corner. They gave RNG control of the game. Like, it's their ball. The ball's in RNG's court. They have to mess up, and I don't think they're going to. And they proved this whole tournament they haven't.
Yeah, I think when you look at the way the draft went down, Nigma's first two picks were Chen Tiny, which kind of, you know, it's a pretty early game team fight focused, let's run at you and fight you style. And then they really backpedaled in the second phase. I feel like they lost their way in the draft.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to open that way and then transition into defense, because Chen feels like he has no purpose in that game.
Yeah.
Kuro was running around. He was like, oh, guess I'll push away with my creeps and get caught by Slark 5 times in a row because I have no purpose. We can't fight. So that's kind of one hero that has very minimal impact in the game. And yeah, I think in this patch, if you have even one hero that feels like he has no purpose in the game, you combine that with the overall tempo. Playing 5-on-4, which it almost effectively was, with the Chen kind of not able to play its timing, it's just too difficult. Like, if you see a problem along the way, you're like, oh man, this is a good Slark pick. I think you have to pick to fight it, not to outlast. And they even did well against him in lane, right? Like, Slark was slowed down, but in the end, it didn't really matter because he gets a neutral item or two. I think he found an Imp Claw. I think he found a Ring of Aquila. He farms the jungle. His Puck has an amazing game. You come back.
Well, you said about the third pick Slark was that you get a better fourth pick, and that happened. Like, you shut down the Slark, but they just had a much better draft for the other 4 heroes in the game, and it just shows that you can't just focus it all on one hero you think is going to be the problem.
It just felt like Nigma was playing catch-up most of the game. They were waiting for the Naga to get bigger and bigger, and even like their game was longer on average compared to the normal RNG games that we've seen so far, but they still haven't gotten the time, and RNG still, I believe it was Kyle that said actually during a game when RNG was trying to take Roshan, Nigma fought them for it, and it felt like RNG didn't look specifically for the Roche. Like, the Aegis is nice, obviously, but they mostly were looking for a fight. Yeah. And they just want to fight, and they got it. Like, nice. Okay, that's what we wanted. If we get an Aegis on top of that, that's great. But they just want to fight you, and yeah, they could as. Well, that's a good objective, of course.
The kind of fight that Nigma are looking for as a team is extremely limited, right?
Yes.
You want a Song into Black Hole, but you have mobile cores on the enemy team and a Slark with Ags and a Puck. They're never going to stand next to each other. And then you also need to solve Venge and relocate. And there's a relocate. Like, it's a really tall order. So this game looked easy for RNG. I just think it's incredibly hard to play Radiant's draft in this game, and you have to take a different approach than this.
We kind of noticed, like, the Venge was snuck through, right? Because normally she's banned. We don't really see her. So it was a surprise to us that she was still in the pool, and then maybe it was a surprise to Enigma as well.
Last pick Treant.
Yes. How much of an impact? Like if it was a different hero that couldn't potentially save someone from a black hole, it couldn't swap out a black hole. If any other offlaner would have been a whole different game, or would RNG still have the upper hand?
It's like they probably have to pick something like the Warlock or the Silencer in the support role, and you're just picking a hero that's not quite meta. I think the thing about meta heroes that I try to describe is that they're just good, so they have to be not given a perfect situation because they're good, right? Like a hero like Warlock Silencer, even if it's a good game for them, it isn't just GG because those heroes are not strong for a reason. But when you give a hero like Venge in a game where it's such good synergy with the puck, swap out of the coil, it's so good against what Team Nigma's fight condition win was, it's just too good. And I really do, I want to praise the Slark third pick. It does take confidence to say as a carry player, yeah, I don't need the perfect game. Yeah. Give me my hero now. I know it's good. Set it up for the rest of the team to be successful. It really is. Like, not many teams are willing to do that. A lot of players will hesitate. So
it's a sign of a team in harmony, right?
Yeah.
Everybody trusts each other. They crush every game. Why wouldn't we do it this time? It hasn't consistently been the same player owning every game. They take turns. That's how you win.
Yeah. We said RNG hasn't really been tested in the group stages. It's been all 2-0s. Was this game a test? Like, did they get challenged more than in the group stages at all? Or was this just another game that we've seen from them before?
They got challenged more in the safe lane. But I think that's it. I don't think Setsu was challenged this game. He owned his lane. He was level 12 on puck when we was level 8, which is kind of unheard of in general.
Insane,
I think that should not be happening in general. Weeha got outplayed, solo killed once. Setsu made countless great rotations. The Tiny never really found his footing. In part due to who does he play with this game? Everybody else is waiting. Tiny has to do everything. If he loses the game, there's no tempo. So also really tough for him.
Yeah, not set up for success.
No, absolutely not.
So maybe not that much challenge for RNG for this game, but that's okay. First of all, there's a second game, and even then, if you lose, you can come back in the lower bracket, which Liquid really likes lower brackets, so who knows?
Upper brackets for bitches.
Yeah, right.
Who was it that said it?
That's why
that
I
was
always lose the
Kuro.
first-
Was it Miracle?
Was it Miracle? I think it was
Miracle.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to have a quick break. Reset for the second game. That's what the teams are doing as well. We're going to have some lighthearted entertainment while we wait.
You're not a new neutral creep, right? No, I'm Santa Claus. Well, Santa Claus, you just screwed up my creep stack. Now it's a full minute without farm for me. Good job. Oh, sorry. I'm just a first level right now, and I don't know a lot of things about your world. Are you a good boy? Huh? What? Boy? I am Ox! Okay. Are you a good Ox? Good? What are you talking about? I'm the best Ox! However, in each game, there's at least one guy who is constantly feeding the enemy. They just feed after feed after feed. If I was fed like that, I would be top 1 euro for sure! So why didn't you tell it from the start? Here's a treat for you. Ooh. You've got some good stuff cookies, you know? Better than Snapfire has stuff. I'm so full of action now. Ha! Cookies! La 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 la.
Great Gaming Esports, professional esports house maker.
Play smarter with Gosu AI. Add a bot to your friend list and find out how good you are. At farm, at team fights, at laning, and much more.
Welcome back to the Book of El Minor 2020, the WePlay Minor, and we are in the playoffs. Series 2 of the day already, and we're in the middle of a series. That's right, we have RNG taking on Enigma, and RNG is one game up right now, and it looked good for RNG. We still are saying they have not yet been challenged. Will they be challenged in Game 2? We're going to find out. I'm here with Cinnamon, I'm here with BSJ. We talked about the draft already, of course, in terms of what could be done differently for both teams. Well, actually, we mostly talked about what could be done differently for Liquid. How are you... Enigma.
I've done it like 7 times.
This is my first time. Okay.
Brian has that aura.
Yeah, I do.
But what is there anything that RNG can say, like, hey, you know, DDC was watching the game, comes back, he's gonna obviously be saying, you know, great, you won, but what kind of constructive criticism is he gonna give? What's he gonna say that they could do better?
I honestly don't know if there is something to do better. Like,
I mean, you can always play better. Like, there's something you could focus on here in this game. Like, don't let the top moment even happen to begin with when they got black holed from Song, right? But it's like, it's one moment, mistakes like that are going to happen. And I honestly think if you start talking about that, you might play worse. Like,
I was going to say,
is it even worth drawing attention to it? Being like, we are perfectionists, this mistake should not happen, pay more attention next game. And then the player's like, okay, be a little bit more careful. And then.
And if you play too careful, you play to lose.
Exactly.
Or rather, you play to not win.
Yeah, that's something you can talk about later when you're like reviewing the replays.
Sure,
make sure you're coming back to be cleaner. That's something that's definitely an option. But yeah, you don't want to overthink things. Like, everyone messes up. The last thing you want to do is second guess yourself, hesitate, doubt something that's been working. I think that's the major thing is, like you said, they seem like they're in harmony. They're kind of willing to hand the carry torch to whoever. I mean, even in that game, even though the Venge is not carrying, the impact of the Venge was really the game winner in the sense of, like, as the game went on, like, you can't see it. You can feel it, though. Like, Enigma is just like, when do I go? Do I do this? Do I do, like, when can we fight? The Venge, as long as she's alive.
And it's the hidden factor of the aura, right? Like, auras are always going to have a game impact. You give that attack range to the Puck. Puck has a damage build with that extra attack range, with the minus armor, with extra base stats. You know, all of it just adds up over the course of these fights. And I think Venge is an incredible hero, and honestly still underrated in this tournament for me. I think the hero can be first phased. Gambit did it one game, I think, where they build or 2 games in a row, they built a Venge Morphling strat, I think. I think the hero is really good. And
we see your banned a lot.
Yeah, but not in the first phase, I think.
It was at the start of the tournament, and then I think some teams were losing with it, and I think they just weren't really using it optimally. I think Morphling's been the biggest disappointment or overvalued hero so far this tournament, and a lot of the venges early on were with the Morphling, as you said. So sometimes it can kind of come with one hero underperforming and another hero that was being paired with that hero suddenly gets forgotten. It's crazy in Dota how many times you can lose a draft in the same way or like to a hero. You're like, we've been concerned about Venge all tournament. Now it's not being picked up. We're just going to get perfect 8th pick Venged and lose the game. We are into the second draft. What do we see? We see the Venges in the pool. The Puck got banned out, so that means Disruptor's back in. IO being taken by Team Nigma this game.
Yep.
So.
And there's a Abaddon too.
Yep.
Well.
Similar heroes, different story going on here. Abaddon Omni, as you said, RNG really popularizing these heroes this tournament. I've been a fan of them in my pubs. I felt like any offlaner that built Teamfight felt really good. And when I say Teamfight, I mean like super early Teamfight, 8, 12-minute Teamfight. Offlaners felt really strong. So the low cooldown ones, that's why I think Enigma has not really been seeing play and kind of got demonstrated last game too.
Yeah. I like this trade-off from RNG, to be honest. I'm still a bit uncertain exactly how to place IO because we've only really seen RNG destroy with it. We've seen other teams win with it, but not nearly to the same extent that RNG has been able to do.
Yeah.
But it is a GH IO, so we should never underestimate that, of course. However, they get a natural counter in the Disruptor. You can glimpse away the relocate. You can set up. If you don't want to do that, I think it's one of the coolest things about Disruptor against IO is you have the choice. Do you want to take the fight or not? You can glimpse them away if you don't, and if you do, you can catch them in Static Storm Kinetic Field when you see them come in.
Do you want to kill the IO, or do you want to kill whoever he's teleporting with? Who do you glimpse?
Exactly. You glimpse one of them away. If you glimpse the IO away, the other guy stays, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of play potential here, and it's comfort, right?
I hope they ban out the Naga for Team Nigma, meaning Team Nigma bans out the Naga because Naga is good against Slark despite what we saw last game. I think the Puck did make a huge difference compared to the TA from what we saw of the first series. Like you had a Slark TA compared to the Slark Puck. Puck just doesn't die to Naga Siren and isn't threatened at all, so it can kind of just wipe out the illusions as well as just do the AoE damage to the other heroes without worrying about that hero. But in this case, you do have to be concerned about having a hero be too good, and since they already have the Disruptor combo, they've left it. So they are confident that Disruptor Naga is not a problem. So they either forgot about it, which I highly doubt, or they have some third, fourth pick that makes them not concerned as long as they get that hero.
I thought Nigma were going to ban Shadow Fiend here, to be honest. This is one of the heroes that Setsu has been looking dominant on. I think Shadow Fiend is really good with Abaddon.
And Omni, yeah.
Or with Omni, like either of them. He's good with Disruptor because it's all about, when it's about Shadow Fiend, you kind of, it's about playing the periphery. If you come in too close, you get Requiem'd. If you're like mid-range, you can get nuked to death and get hit really hard. But Disruptor can always kind of position the fights in a way that Shadow Fiend can deal damage because of the field or the glimpse. And Venge is still in the pool. You could run a Venge Shadow Fiend. Those two heroes are incredible together.
Yep.
We talked Venge Morph as one of the strategies that's been run. I think Venge's two best partners in this patch right now are Shadow Fiend and Viper. I think those heroes get insane from the attack range and agility. So I would love to see RNG go for that. And again, comfort, right? Setsu getting on one of his best.
And then you get maybe a telescope.
Yeah.
Easy.
I mean,
it does happen seemingly a lot with the Venge.
That item is just not okay.
Yeah, please,
it was tier 4. So when it came out, it was tier 4. Then it got buffed
twice.
And then it got put to tier 3.
So
like,
there it is.
Just insane. So there goes Venge. I think Shadow Fiend will be the 4th pick. Enigma should be expecting this by now, probably.
How do you prepare for it?
That's the question, because I don't think Slark is good against that hero at all. I don't think Slark is a Shadow Fiend counter in the slightest. Until you have BKB, you kind of can't fight into him. There's way too much AoE damage. Even if you use Shadow Dance, you can just die.
I was gonna say any damage that hits you during Shadow Dance, you don't feel all that great about.
Yeah.
And like I've been playing Slark against Shadow Fiend, and you just get like against good Shadow Fiend players. It's mainly the early to mid game where you just get like triple raised, and even if you don't die, you're at like 100 health, and you're ulting to run away rather than fight, and that never feels good.
Can you pick it yourself? Like
Not now.
It's very early.
Maybe.
But if it's not now, then it's going to be too late.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, it's either now or never, right?
Yeah. Because
if they pick Shadow Fiend, I think they just pick Viper then, right?
Yes.
Like you were saying, Viper's really good with the Venge, and I think it's really nice in lane against the Shadow Fiend.
Viper's way less good against Slark than
I was going to say, yeah.
So it's a
that's
much
true.
better matchup for Enigma. I just don't think they can pick the Shadow Fiend. I think they need to plan for it. If you pick Shadow Fiend, Slark, IO, you're setting yourself up to be kind of abused, or you're very limited in what the last heroes can be. It's extremely locked. You have no lockdown except a pounce. You have heroes that kind of really want to use the jungle, both the Slark and the Shadow Fiend. I think it's just, again, maybe slightly on the greedy side. It's not unplayable, but I don't know. I don't like it so much.
They've been favoring Lina against SF a lot.
Yeah.
Team Nigma. I don't necessarily
Lina's
like
bad
it.
against Venge. That's
yeah,
a really
that's what I
bad
was about
matchup.
to say. You don't want to play that against the Venge. So I'm just saying I've seen Enigma go against Shadow Fiend at least twice with the Lina, and that does not seem good here either.
The fact that they take so long to pick their third hero, it means that they're not completely on board with whatever they're deciding, right? It's a tough situation that they're in.
I don't know if Synderen could see it happening. Can't Kuroki?
Winter Wyvern.
Sorry.
Thanks, Brian.
That is decent setup for the relocate. It also is very good against like Venge lineups in general, but SF is that mixed damage core that we've been talking about that doesn't really mind if the opponent in the early to mid game just gets cold embrace and you triple raise them.
Is Drow in the pool too?
Drow is still in the
believe so.
pool.
Because that's like the third really good bench partner. They're going to
okay.
go for neither of them so far. I think maybe what RNG are saying here is PL is more important for now. We will get our ranged hero of choice in the end anyway, whether it's Shadow Fiend or Viper or some third option that we haven't even thought about yet. I think Shadow Fiend would have been a really good pick here too.
I will say, I think they telegraphed this PL pick a bit with the Underlord ban. I don't think Underlord made too much sense when you have a disruptor. Like you have the team fight counter to that, so they had to be scared of the the AoE damage reduction, and usually that's really good against illusion heroes. So I think when they banned that Underlord, they kind of revealed that they were going for those heroes, because generally I said PL and Naga are two of the best heroes against Slark in the 1-to-1 carry matchup. And Team Nigma goes for one of my crowd favorite worst heroes in all of Dota.
Crowd favorite worst hero.
Yeah.
So people like it, but it's bad.
Yeah.
Would you put it above or below Legion Commander?
Below. That is hard for me to do. I will say, but I did not hesitate with that answer, because I think as a carry player, you will always get free farm against Darkseer, and not only that, but when you're an offlane player and you're guaranteeing the opponent free farm, that usually means the other lanes are going to struggle because the supports can leave pretty early, and then they get kind of like ganged up on. I don't know. I wish I understood. I don't understand.
Is there valuable synergy with Darkseer here? You know, the old vacuum curse that worked very well at TI6, I think it was, where the curse, you could still damage during it with 30% reduction or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore. So you can't do that vacuum curse play where you just kill a guy necessarily.
No, but you can vacuum into, never mind.
Into Slark Dark Pact?
Vacuum spirits.
Yeah. No, I was
It's
thinking for some reason that there was still space for Naga in the pool.
But
there's not.
It's like for me, to be convinced of this Nigma lineup, the last pick needs to play with Darkseer. Because I know you've got Ion Shell and Slark, which is nice, but I don't think that's argument enough to pick this hero.
We have hero.
Yeah.
How about Wind Ranger?
If you have no way to
vacuum shackle shot.
Templar Assassin also in the pool. Those are literally the two heroes.
All of those are really bad against PL, and as of now, I don't think you deal with PL. I think this needs to be like a Radiance builder, like a Kunkka. I think is really all I can think of that combos with the Darkseer, as well as goes well against the Disruptor, because you X your teammates who get glimpsed, but also because you build the Radiance against the PL. So maybe ban out like Razor.
Kunkka's decent.
Yeah,
but then you're still
Razor,
facing Shadow Fiend. That's also.
Oh yeah, okay, Shadow Fiend. That's the other one. Okay, yeah, I forgot about Shadow Fiend. So probably ban either Shadow Fiend or Razor or Viper, and then pick Kunkka. That's honestly the only hero.
Kunkka is something that would.
Oh, what? They pick Shadow Fiend.
I don't know.
Right?
I'm concerned that this Darkseer doesn't have much play in the game. Like, Vacuum is not very good here. You have Ion Shell on the Slark, and obviously Surge is cool for him. But I don't... It's kind of similar to last game. I feel like the type of fight that Nigma needs is just so difficult to set up in the first place and accomplish to make that happen, right?
That's not even good against PL, man.
How do you get the heroes in the right position so that these fights can happen? I think Shadow Fiend just solves this game. I really think so.
I mean, as of now, because I think PL should almost be guaranteed to get free farm start, and he scales incredibly well against Huskar, I don't even care what this hero is. I'm favoring RNG's draft, to be honest. Like, I think Razor and or SF.
What if they last pick Darkseer, Brian?
I mean, the problem is with that win condition for Nigma is they blocked themselves out of that one with the Darkseer pick themselves. I think Razor SF is Okay, I mean, Lena's same thing. Ranged right clicker, right? That's what we were going for.
It's fine too.
Nuke him down with the Laguna.
Maybe they think the matchup for Shadowfiend against Huskar is not good enough. Lena's definitely is. She has the range advantage. She gets even more range in the game with the Venge. It's mixed damage against Wyvern. It's a single target hardcore burst against Huskar. I think that might be why they're not picking the Shadowfiend, because he's a bit more AoE damage in fights, and you want a reliable way of blasting Huskar out of the map.
It's also a really good Yule's game, just in general. So
Yeah,
I think like to catch the Darkseer, to save yourself from Pounce, to set up for the rest of your team. So I think Lena makes sense with that. Every time I look at Lena, I'm like, I hope it's a good Yule's game. I was going to say, we've seen some Huskars run over games so far this tournament. This is a 9th pick Huskar, not a 10th pick Huskar. I think personally, I hate to flame Kuroki, man, but this seems like a garbage Huskar game, and it is 9th pick. So I almost hope Team Nigma doesn't win, because I can't believe how bad this Huskar game is. So
No chill, dude.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a bit too
We're
harsh.
very nice and cozy here in Bukovel,
Yes.
but this is our garbage.
Sips on cocoa. Absolutely terrible.
I'm the Scrooge for Christmas for Team Nigma here, apparently.
Honestly, though, I think garbage is a little bit harsh, but I don't like it either. Like, let's just put it. Let's be a little bit mild here, because we could be surprised. The biggest problem for me is not the pick itself, is that I don't see the direct game plan.
Okay.
I know IO Huskar together sometimes can win games, but my biggest problem, similar to the last game, is how do you set up a winning fight? You're playing against a team that has incredible team fight, very obvious engages with Venge and Disruptor. They have counters to your late game. You're kind of putting yourself on a clock in a game where you have to find fights that seem hard to do.
We don't see the plan. We don't see the strength of the Huskar.
I love being surprised, Shiver. I'm ready for them to win. That'll be
Are
great.
we going to be
Me too,
surprised,
honestly.
though? I mean, I'm curious to hear the thoughts of two other people on our broadcast, Kyle and Kip.
It's okay. Our panel isn't big brain enough to be able to understand what Kuro's going for, but my man here, Kyle, he knew exactly what they were doing the entire time. Kyle, lay it out for us. What is Kuro doing here? How did he just outdraft RNG?
I'd love to get into it, but I was sworn to secrecy. I cannot reveal their secrets, so we'll just have to analyze the draft from a layman's perspective.
Okay, from a layman's perspective, what do you see?
To Brian's point, PL, typically one of the hard counters to Huskar. You have no real illusion clear. Now with the AoE disarm pushback, it's a bit better, but it's definitely not a great game. I expected something similar to Brian, like a DK, a Kunkka, especially after the Viper ban.
Sure.
However, this does give them the ability to play with a ton of tempo. And in theory, how do you beat heroes like
30
Disruptor and
seconds
Venge?
to
You get
battle.
right on top of them and start smashing. You've got 2 defensive heroes plus the surge of the Darkseer. So if we gets ahead and his laning phase goes okay, he can just take over. It's just real difficult to ever go late game against PL here.
Now, our panel was a little bit stumped on not just the Huskar, but also the Darkseer, and you pointed to several heroes that you actually like Darkseer against.
I mean, first off, Mind Control's arguably the best Darkseer player in the world. In addition, you're playing against Venge. You get an illusion. That means you've got the aura. In addition, you have the Vlad's Buyer on the Abaddon. You're going to be able to take that as well. You can steal the illusion. The auto attack of Avernus Curse could potentially proc, helps with the pushing power, and it owns PL throughout the game. You can put it an Ion Shell on Slark, and it deals with the illusions. One of the better heroes against PL. And it also fits with Wisp in theory. How did RNG win that last game with the Slark? Tons of pace, playing around the map, corner to corner. Darkseer helps you do that quite well.
Okay. All of those things made sense to me, Kyle. I'm with it. I'm not a big Darkseer believer, but maybe you just made a believer in me. Well, no longer a believer if you're not the believer.
This is a nice way to start, where you can see Mind Control's actually pulling the creep wave from between tier 2, tier 3, and Nigma's actually tri-laning top to ensure Miracle gets total free farm.
Well, that sounds like classic Nigma at this point, but Setsu is already pushing the pace against this Huskar, and as they said, this is a 9th pick Huskar, not last pick, and we are going to have our early first blood. Miracle was able to eventually trap down September.
Yep,
We take a peek over to mid lane.
All there was first item Oov, and he ran at him. That was pretty impressive. Look at Mind Control.
I hate early Orb Venom right now. Heroes like Ursa and Slark, it's just gross when you do it.
It's because you don't need the shield anymore, right? That used to be 200 gold spent for every melee hero. Now you have the luxury of picking up early Quelling Blade, getting the Oov, as you said, extra stats. It's your call. Nice job by Super. 5 denies out of 8 creeps with 1 still alive. Not bad.
Yeah, especially since he has worse base damage than Darkseer. I'm like pretty sure about that. Darkseer hits decently hard.
I'm surprised MC isn't playing more aggressive. I understand you don't want to die, but end of the day, I'd rather get my last hits and take a tumble.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, offlaners
goes
and
back.
oh,
Whoa.
the vacuum surprise!
But the Orb of Venom keeps him slow enough that Super can run out of range.
Well, that would have been a sick play if he'd actually gotten the kill.
Yeah.
But sadly, he will just force the Abaddon back. Won't be gone for long, though. Fountain's a short trip away.
Setsu's continuing to impress, man. Like, this is a,
Yeah,
oh
dude,
my god, he's
look
gonna
at
kill him.
He may just kill Weehaw here. He's going to keep up with that movement speed.
One more stun.
Look to land another LSA. There's a double damage somewhere in there. Weehaw knows he has to juke this LSA to make sure he doesn't die, but he can't do it. Setsu was very patient, very fire for the last hit, dodging amongst the tree, healing Salve a little bit more. He's blown so much regen for this that getting out may not even be worth it at that point.
I love that. You
but
see
he
that?
does live.
Immediately just buy 3 mangoes. He's going to send him straight out so he can maintain lane dominance. That's another thing I feel like this courier change will start affecting. We're going to see more mid heroes that lane dominate. Because if you get that slight edge in gold XP, you just buy items, bring them to you. You're now back to full HP, full mana, and you can body your opponent. You can see down bottom, this was that rotation over from September. Pretty simple disruptor moves. TP's in, finds a kill. No problem. And look at the last hitting on the PL. This is what happens when you backlane, right? Monet's getting every single CS under tower with Quelling Blade plus 73 auto attack damage.
Yeah, Phantom Lancer and like Terror Blade, those are like the classic carries to deal with backlaning because they can tank the tower so well. But September may be dying here again as Miracle looks to chase him down with that Orb of Venom. Flywind tried to body block, not quite able to get it. Dark Pact doesn't get it off in time before the Magic Missile, so
that was so sick. That was Venge planting a tree, by the way, to try, and that little dissuasion actually keeps the disruptor alive.
Anything he can do, well, sure enough, Setsu right back in Weehaw's face. If he could win that mid lane, obviously it would do so much. Slowing down a Huskar who has a Darkseer with him as well. It's a pretty good combo hero.
I will say, though, oh, hang on.
Maybe Weehaw into the trees once again. Once again, he's going to heal a little bit more, but Weehaw's found just this tiny little hiding spot, and Setsu didn't see where he went.
I will say one issue. There's 3 things you want when you pick Darkseer. You want to have auras to steal. You've got that, but you have no partner. There's really no melee hero outside of the Slark that you can put your Ion Shell on and have him play aggressive. You want your 4 to be that guy in the early laning phase. Second, you don't have a vac combo. There's no stun to follow up a 3 or 4 man vac. So it's really just the auras you're going to steal from a vac wall and the pressure on the PL. But look at that CS. He's really not feeling any...
You don't think... I mean, I know Huskar is a ranged hero, but he still gets on top of people with his ult. You don't think it's a combo?
It works, but it's more that there's no 4 position to play with. So mind control effectively is just going to be jungling or trading with PL. But you're not actually pressuring this Phantom Lancer like you would if you had, you know, an Earth Spirit or a Tusk of old, when we used to see this combo in the dual lane meta.
Kuro stuck inside the kinetic field, but mind control is going to lend him a helping hand. Super committing, trying to finish off the kill, but an early level Cold Embrace allows Kuro to be able to live through it all. And Super, it's going to be him who's going to fall. The Arctic burns him away.
But they missed the stack there. You see Michael Joe's going to miss out on a hard camp because he was distracted for some time. A 1K gold lead for RNG, and it looks like they'll be claiming 2 bounty runes. 3? Did they get 3? I didn't see.
I think it might have been 2 for 2 because I think Nigma got both at top lane. But I'm not 100%.
Look at this CS disparity, though, man. Wee is 10-4. He has combined CS equal to the denies of Setsu, who has continued to impress. Him and GPK, man, they've dominated these lanes.
I think it's pretty cool that Setsu has dove tower this many times, and his CS is still really high, you know? Like, oftentimes you're sacrificing your own game to kill the other, but he's still kept up great CS.
The benefit is he's not very farmed in terms of itemization because he's bought so much regen, so he can stay dominant in this lane and shut down Wee.
Flywind, cut through the trees, and the Dark Pact is enough damage to finish him off. But the TP in, can they actually get the counter kill onto GH, who's already low? September trying to finish him off, the Thunder Strike, that'll do enough. But Miracle staying on top of September, comes away, trying to cut through the trees, but that's not quite good enough. And Miracle, he does have level 6 and stick charges, so he'll be okay.
Already 3 permanent agility picked up, and if you're an Enigma fan, you got to be happy when Miracle's the guy collecting all the kills. Monet, of course, still dominating. Going to go for that rush defusal. I like that decision. He's so far ahead right now. You look at the Enigma lineup. If he has defusal, no one but the Slark Darkseer have even a prayer of trying to get away. The Huskar specifically of We is just going to get ran at. How does a Huskar recover? That's one of the weaknesses of the hero. Strong laner, can't really farm jungle effectively, and once Monet starts running at him, he's in big trouble. Flywin.
Well, chased down once again. He had a great laning phase last game as the off-lane Vengeful Spirit, but this time not so much. They're still going to try and chase him down underneath the trees, by the way. Our Slark is completely out of mana. He's not going to be able to TP back home. He's going to be caught. Meanwhile, Mind Control is going to be run down by Monet, but the Phantom Rush isn't up in time. Back over to Slark. He is eventually going to die as, again, out of mana. No way to be able to escape.
God, they're playing so well around the map, man. RNG just constantly applying pressure everywhere. It felt like, oh yeah, we're talking about Miracle. He's got a great start. Nope, he's gone down to the first rotation from Setsu. There is not a single lane that really feels good for Dire right now.
See that one again. It was caught inside the kinetic field, and it was actually Flywin who managed to get the last hit with his Spirit.
Yeah, Broom handle up for the PL, always nice for that extra move speed on these illusion carries. Level 6.
So looking at this 3K gold lead, I think it's easy to say RNG won the laning phase. But by like how much? Were they expected to win the laning phase, do you think? Did they overperform by a drastic amount? Is Nigma in like big time trouble since they're down this much?
I would say so, yes. You have major PL problems. And now you have major Lina problems, and yeah, sure, your Slark is ahead, but similar to the, it's not really similar, but Mind Control's the issue. He's the one that's going to actually be able to get aggressive in the mid game. His Helm Dom timing is everything, and he's got nothing.
A massive kill. Miracle does manage to outplay Setsu for a big kill, 281 gold to GH. Sadly, not Miracle, but still they share the experience.
First mistake I've really seen him make in the series. No business being that exposed up top against a Wisp lineup.
Yeah, especially since he's got so many heroes to back him up. Like, he just waits. Disruptor, Vengeful Spirits, Abaddon, all of them could help him in that situation. The tower does end up going down. Looks like Mind Control was hoping for a deny, but nicely done by RNG to push him back a little bit.
This is going to have to be the Miracle show. I'm curious to see the itemization he goes for. I feel like he's got to play aggressive, and that is the choice. I like this. It looks like it'll be a drums into a diffusal. I think that's the item build. It's what we saw Ana use, I believe, at TI a couple of times. It was also something Chris Luck really loves to do on the mid Slark, because it allows you to stay aggressive on enemy side of the map with a ton of stats. And once you have diffusal, it's very easy to find kills. That sets up for relocate kills, and more importantly, buys some time for Weeha to get back into this.
Yeah, heroes like Phantom Lancer, if you do catch him, like being able to burn him out some of his mana, that is critical for him to be able to doppelganger around in team fights. Heroes like Abaddon who are naturally tanky, but then you just burn their mana, they don't really do anything.
My concern is I'm not sure you're actually able to kill PL as this Slark in this game. You don't have a true PL counter. That's my problem. How do you actually lock him down? Especially once he grabs a diffusal. It'll be about the same timing as the Slark. If not, Monet's actually going to beat him to it. So what do you do to stop him from just doppling and running away?
Well, we'll have to see how the team fights play out for Team Nigma. Weeha's hoping it's not going to be just a Miracle show as he's been trying to recover inside the jungle, but that's where he's been found by September, pulled back to his doom as Setsu gives him the Laguna.
Disruptor Dota. That's right before these outposts start spawning. Looks like we'll have a contest down bottom, super running. He'll find Mind Control top lane. That's going to go to just Miracle, no problem.
And looks like they will be able to chase that Darkseer. He's not going to be able to claim that outpost and may end up dying for. No, he TP'd out. He's good.
Just in time, yeah. You can see Setsu, he did own mid, but his net worth doesn't look like he crushed mid. It's just because he bought so many Mangoes, Clarities, and Tangos.
And died once.
And his net worth is lower, but he's also kept Weeha a bit further behind as well. And his Venge has more than the enemy mid. GH having a great game. It was a rough first game for Nigma fans, but I think GH was a bright spot. Even though he really couldn't do anything on the Rubik, I felt like in the opportunities he had, he played great, and he is one of the best Wisps in the world. So we'll be curious to see how he performs here. Already closing in on that mech, just 200 gold away.
Especially considering how you would watch those fights, and RNG put so much effort in killing him early. Yeah. They would like swap and go for Mind Control, but once Mind Control was kind of out of the way, GH was always the next target. It was pretty funny.
That's all about the team fight once again for Nigma. You've got crazy counter initiation thanks to the Wyvern, thanks to the Wisp. But RNG, they've proven, especially with September approaching level 7 on this Disruptor, man, they've got so much reach. And once PL has Diffusal, you're just going to go full bonsai in the back lines.
He's super farmed too.
Yeah.
He's even catching up a little bit to Weehaw's farm. He's going to have that fast Yule Scepter into the Aghanims that you like so much. Plants a mango tree right by the Roshan pit, as everyone kind of does on Radiant side. That spot is preferred.
Radiant's middle tower.
Everyone collects a mango and has a nice bath together.
Gold lead, not nearly as significant as it was in that previous game. But I'm still just a bit concerned for mind control, man. He has really not found a foothold. Last game was pretty brutal for him as well. As you said, they just kind of went for him every single fight. And he's rushing the pipe, which is nice for the early team fights. But my concern is that his offensive impact is going to be very limited, and it's just more and more emphasis on We and Miracle being the ones to make plays.
Yeah, so that was something I talked about for the formula of Team Nigma is in that formula of giving the hard carry to Miracle and making sure you have a good playmaking for Weehaw. He has a good matchup mid. They're sacrificing mind control a lot in these situations.
Especially this game. He was left on an island. He was completely alone. You hardly ever see that nowadays.
Static Storm and Kinetic Field laid out as they do see that relocate coming in. But yeah, heavy commitment. They really want to finish off September. The Aphotic Shield and the swap. Really good play by RNG to make sure they get out. But Miracle's building up some stats on the fly when GH does manage to get the relocate back out. So nobody dies on the side of RNG, but neither does GH.
That was really scary though. Enigma hard committed there, and the problem is when you use all those spells, there's nothing to stop the push now. You already have a Helm Dom up on Flywind, so you've got that regen creep along with a ton of pressure you can output thanks to the Lina right clicks plus the Abaddon Curse.
Hey, it's perfect for RNG, right? They grouped up, and they have every right to go challenge an objective, seeing as you use those big ultimates. But it looks like they may not actually get that objective so easily. Flywind's going to be chased down by Nigma, and now, well, Super's going to stand and fight and see if he can get the silence off on Weehaw, but as his borrowed time fades away, he's got to back up.
And I like this. Even though they're a bit outmatched thus far, Nigma's still making good plays. We saw RNG and Geek Fam do this in the group stage, where, yeah, sure, you lost your Darkseer bottom. He's going to have a lot of trouble with Disruptor PL this entire game, but they immediately make a move on mid where there's exposed heroes.
They're going to glimpse him back inside that kinetic field, and with the Laguna Blade almost enough, but the disarm goes out. Setsu, can he land the last couple of shots he needs? No, certainly not. Miracle's now on top of him, and Super doesn't have any life to be able to get more Aphotic Shield, so Setsu's going to be run down as well. 2 dead, make it 3 as September is going to be chased down by Miracle with leisure. 3 dead, 8 to 10, and all of a sudden things take a bit of precipitous fall for RNG.
We saw this all tournament long, Cap. Whenever you try to kill these heroes like Auk, like Naga, like Huskar, if you don't get that finishing blow, there's going to be a turnaround. Great job by Kuro there, spamming out the slows and damage. Miracle TP's in. This is why he went for the drums. He wants to be active. He gets Ion Shelled and just goes forwards. Was there even a PL in that fight?
No.
You're making this play without Monet. He's got Broom Handle, Ocean's Heart, Diffusal. He's your strongest hero, top net worth. If you're RNG, you've got to play around this PL.
So whose fault is that? Do you feel like Monet should be coming to these fights in the mid lane? Do you feel like RNG really needs to force that tower, or should RNG be playing a little bit more passive and allow Monet to farm?
A couple extra auto attacks, Huskar dies there, there's probably no turnaround. It just comes down to he didn't. I think it looked like he juked the glimpse with his ultimate and then a nice disarm. He tanked all the spells, and then when there was just no auto attacks, he's going to survive. It's just more HP than they figured. Miracle is closing in on Diffusal of his own. Yule's picked up on the Lina, but it doesn't feel like Setsu dominated like he did in the previous game, even though the lane went much better.
I mean, his rotations last game as that puck, he was so successful that he just kept on scaling up and up and up. And here in this game, he's definitely been stalled out a bit as not able to find the same kind of free fights. This time around, Team Nigma has a lineup that can actually fight back early on, as opposed to the wait for it, wait for that black hole. That's all they could really do.
And not just that, they've done a great job. They've kept their mid tower alive thanks to that slight miscue from RNG, but they've taken the Radiant mid tower. This leaves that whole Radiant side of the map open. It's a huge benefit to the squad, and whenever it hits 15 minutes and one team's lost mid, the other's kept it. It's a big map control lead, and it forces RNG to make plays like this. They've got to smoke around instead of perhaps cutting into the enemy jungle through that mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't even taken the safe lane tower either, so they've got a lot of objectives on that that to-do list, and that just means a lot more time for...
Notice Kuro, he's playing the same way as he did on that Chen, in the sense that he's always alone in a lane, in the dangerous lane, right? But now he's a Wyvern. He's just going to continue. Look at this, spam W, tons of harass, clear the creep wave, stall, 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 and unlike Chen, you've got the ability to fly away into the night instead of merely feeding yourself away again. They'll trade tower, you're fine with that.
Yeah, especially since Team Nigma are able to keep a lot more spread out, right? They're able to farm a lot more efficiently during that time. They only needed one hero in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, RNG all had to clump up top lane. Now they're going to work their way through the jungle a little bit, which Nigma will spot that with a scan. And they're actually going to rotate in turn and see if they can catch those people trying to invade their jungle. And that's going to be Flywin. Just a speedy little fish is going to be able to latch onto him pretty quickly as he uses the pounce towards the tail end of that really nicely. Burns him out of his mana. Now Super is going to be caught in trouble as well. Borrow time heals up the full, but they still have plenty of disables to lay it out onto him. But Setsu, Miracle's low. Can they actually burst him down? The Mac comes in real quickly. Nice heal up, and Setsu had no chance of being able to burst him down. Super actually left to be able to burn out while Setsu chased down underneath his shrine and dies. The glimpse back, the Winter's Curse that was laid out on Super earlier, now may allow Nigma to catch up to him. I love the fact that they just focused on that core Lina first. The pounce forward from Miracle spots him with the Surge. Dude, Surge on Slug just looks crazy.
You asked why they picked Darkseer, Cap. Here's why.
Doppelganger over to the other side. Monet has the clumsy net that latched onto him. That's the real Phantom Lancer, and Miracle knows it too, but they do manage to get that glimpse back. So he's not able to stay on top of the Phantom Lancer. Now with the buybacks, RNG are going to try and turn, but look at Nigma holding that high ground, saying, we know you're still not strong enough to fight into us. As long as we hold the high ground here, we have the advantage.
That Ion Shell equalizes the Slark versus PL matchup. Weehaw was in the pit the entire time. They're going to get an Aegis
out of this. Roshan that entire time. So now it means that there was no way for RNG to get to that part of the map fast enough.
Straight back in. Remember, if you surge the Slark, you get Wisp pasted too.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to make their jump. Sure, they managed to get the glimpse back, but now it's Weehaw's turn to be able to jump onto Setsu and take him out of the fight. Monet trying to deal with these heroes. The vacuum group up a 3, but there's no AoE that's able to capitalize on that. But Monet in the back line, he tried to do what he could to juke it out with his doppelganger illusions, but he just couldn't do enough. Now Super's going to be slowed down with these two cores dead. They know Nigma, they can run the full gambit here. They can chase down anybody of RNG they want to. Tier 3s and Tier 4s be damned, because if there's no Lina and there's no Phantom Lancer, there's no bite on the RNG team.
What a game, man. This is crazy. They're just playing with so much pace right now. RNG have been the fastest team in this tournament by far. This is the first time I've really seen them challenged. And they're going to take a firm lead in this game.
This is exactly what you said at the end of game 1. You said, this is what I want to see out of Nigma. We've seen RNG play super fast. That's how they're winning this tournament right now. You proved that you can do it on Nigma against Fighting Pandas.
Yeah.
Go again.
It reminds me of that that old QO stack when they played in NA and when they were on Immortals. Every team that tried to play slow against them just got run over. You had to match their tempo and just fight them. There's no way you're going to be able to hide appropriately against a team that's got that just smells blood at all times. And Setsu, like, you just don't expect that. Like, Miracle getting surged forwards, that's like 3 bonus kills. They didn't even need the Huskar. He's just an objective taker and a tank. He had 4 heroes on top of him, but thanks to that Talisman of Evasion, he got cold embraced. They actually don't have the damage to kill him. It's not there.
It's funny how, look at this. They almost caught him. Setsu, in his normal map awareness, is looking at that and going, they can't get to me in time, but because of Surge, they really almost could. It goes to show that, like, we were talking about, you know, what do they actually vacuum combo off of? And just years and years of Darkseer tells you that's the ability that you focus on and what you do with the Darkseer. But nowadays, it's Surge that's the real broken ability.
And the other thing is, I love, like, you look at Miracle, he got those drums like 6 or 7 minutes ago. He's already used every charge. They're all in it just to continue to chase, as we see here.
Flywin. Troublesome. Oh, Vacuum is actually going to pull Setsu out of position as well, but it looks like they couldn't quite overcommit there. They didn't want to go into like the tier 3s or anything, so no core kills, but just pushing them back and taking tier 2s, that's good enough.
And the problem with the Lina pick, right? Is we talked about how do you beat RNG's lineup in this game? You just have to run at them. You know, if Lina and Disruptor don't have the luxury of being able to position themselves in the back lines, they're so squishy. You can see Miracle is threatening him even though Setsu is in range of his tier 4s.
Yeah. It basically looks like it's like the same range as the Aghanim's Palace. Miracle has that kind of distance to be able to close. The glimpse back onto Weehawk, but immediately the Cold Embrace and the vacuum. Okay, Kinetic Field with the Static Storm. That's going to be able to hit 3 heroes, but where's the follow-up? Especially with the Winter's Curse guarding some of these heroes away. They can't walk through that area, so they can't get into that Static Storm exposed part of Enigma. And now RNG, they've just walked too far. Swap back, okay, Flywind's gonna be able to save Zetsu here, but maybe at the cost of his own life. Miracle does get glimpsed a little bit farther away, but still enough to be able to stay on top of Flywind, especially with Weehawk committing a little bit farther, but the Aphotic Shield and Mist Coils manage to keep him alive. Now Enigma, now it's their turn to be a little bit too far forward. A swap back on a Mind Control, there's an easier target to be able to bring down, but the offlaner for offlaner, that's a tie, but Miracle, he wants a little bit more. He's gonna go for a Super Magic Wand, that's gonna be able to heal him up as well as borrow time, but what about Zetsu? What about Zetsu? But he managed to get the LSA onto Miracle. Miracle still keeps on going because he's relying on GH to give him all those heals, and they can't really commit to Miracle because he still has that second life.
God, the damage done numbers have got to probably favor RNG, but it just doesn't matter. They have so much sustain. Huskar Slark so tanky with the Wyvern and a Wisp behind them. Look at Crow. He's never threatened. He can casually just survey the battlefield like Tywin Lannister. No threat ever because you can't get on top of him.
And RNG, they're doing a good job of like resetting off of these situations. Oh no, May! He just TP'd into death. Oh, RNG. If you weren't flustered before, you certainly are now, as they're going to call it GG here.
That's the dote I'm talking about, Cap. None of this slow shit. Get going. Take RNG. Say, if you want to come fight us, we'll take it in the mouth and hit back. I love it. That's the Liquid of old, too. The GH with Mind Control Darkseer. I don't care what Miracle's playing. They've got plenty in the repertoire, and I also think that Wyvern pick, you saw a couple times, the Curse counteracting the Disruptor ultimate. You can't properly coordinate kills, especially when you need so much raw damage to take out a Huskar or Slark, if there's a Curse and a Cold Embrace waiting in the wings.
Well, it seems that Instructor Kuro has handed out a few lessons to us all. It seems like we had many doubters, us included, in that draft, but they certainly proved that it's not necessarily so much about the draft, but about the tempo, the pace of the game. That is how you're going to be able to deal with RNG. And now we're going to finally see RNG to the true test, and that's what makes me real excited. I want to see what RNG does in return.
Oh, for sure. I just love it. I love that we get a game 3. Like playoff Dota, first series, a little disappointing this one, definitely delivering. And I love that, you know, you can take Kuro Stack out of Team Liquid. You can't take the Team Liquid out of Kuro Stack. This is exactly what they did their previous TI. Looked terrible in groups, not much better at the start of the bracket, and then slowly but surely they improved until they're all the way in the grand final.
Well, it's a team that just builds up more and more momentum as they go along to the tournament. But can RNG put a halt to that momentum going into a game 3? For that, we turn to our panel.
Yeah, let's answer that question. But first, before we do that, we have to address something, because before this specific game started, there were some harsh words for Nigma's draft. Brian, you said you wanted to own up to it.
I will say that, in my opinion, when I judge drafts, might be the worst draft from my perspective that has ever won a game.
Okay.
Like, I'm saying, like, I was so convinced that draft was just going to lose. And I will say, I think Setsu kind of dropped the ball. I mean, he was crushing the mid lane. That Huskar was jungling at level 4. But needless to say, Enigma showed up, and they played the chaotic game. Almost reminds me of OG, where they're just running across the map, chasing you everywhere.
Yes.
Where it almost seems like Setsu and the rest of RNG didn't give them the credit they deserved, that they would be willing to do exactly what they did. So I'll put my foot in my mouth and just stop there, I guess, because I was so wrong.
Nice back, by the way, Sint.
What's that? Oh, thank you. There you go. You guys see this? No, now you don't.
What pass?
Let me just take that off. I mean, sometimes I like the extra decoration. Okay, so I don't think you fully have to put your foot in your mouth, honestly, because this was the makings of a complete stomp from RNG's side. The Phantom Lancer was totally free farming. The Huskar got destroyed in lane. Hands down, RNG won 2 lanes really hard. And then the top lane, I think, was the one saving grace for Enigma, where it went well for both the IO and the Slark. And they're the 2 heroes that dictate this entire game. What ends up happening is that Slark has a good enough game that if RNG make mistakes, they can capitalize. And what happened twice in a row, I think, was they try to kill the Huskar. He drops to 5% HP, doesn't die, and then they've overcommitted. Lina's out of position, gets killed again, and suddenly the tempo just ramps up so fast. And it really didn't have to go this way. This is the first time in this tournament that I've seen RNG make mistakes like this. Because I stand by what we said before. I don't think Nigma have a better draft this game. After seeing the game play out, I still don't.
Yeah.
And they were losing. And then all it takes is for one team to make a couple of mistakes and the other team to snowball like crazy off of it. And that's what the Dire lineup does. But let's say in an ideal world where RNG play like they've done every other game, I don't think it would have come to this. For me, the big turning point was attempting to kill Huskar, and IO got Mech and Essence Ring. That's when things really started pumping out, because then their sustain and healing is absolutely ridiculous, and Miracle could just take off and take over the game.
I mean, even Monet there, like you saw at, I believe it was the 6-minute mark, he had 45 CS, something like that.
Totally free
That's
farming
like the
on PL.
Darkseer standard. He was level 6 on PL, and Darkseer is level 3, and I'm like, this is exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. And then suddenly, as you said, they just overcommitted on the Huskar a couple times. And Huskar Slark, I would say, two of the most punishing heroes in the entire game to overreach and feed.
Yep.
I really think is the simple word for this, because how many times in your pubs have you been like, guys, free win, and then just suddenly 4 different people's chain feed to a Slark? I mean, well played by Enigma. Honestly, I'm glad to see some life from them, even though
for sure.
I sometimes you hate to be wrong, but you love to see more exciting games. I thoroughly enjoyed watching a team like we heard the coach DDC, I believe, right? And one other guy, I don't know who it is, for RNG in the talent lounge, and they were laughing at like 8 minutes into that game as he Laguna the Huskar who was trying to do the Ancients.
I mean, it looked like an easy game.
They were thinking the same thing. They're laughing, and I like to see a team get put in their place, man. I think they played way overconfident. They did not give Nigma credit. This is TI winners, man. I want to see. I like to see some life out of them. So
Yeah. I love the fights were all, like the last bit anyway, we're all in front of that tier 3 tower mid. They were just not letting up. They were just there.
Yeah. And you got to say the key hero for the game is IO. And that is what will be addressed in the next game. I don't think either team will get it now. It seemed like that was the hero that really carried Nigma through this game. In the last game, it made RNG's game look super easy as well. It will be removed, and we'll play some different Dota. So GH still got it.
Still got it. Was there any chance for RNG to delay that game? Because there's always like, PL could potentially take over the game, maybe late.
The Huskar problem. The thing is, if you fall behind, though, in Huskar, you have to fight Huskar. You have to be able to fight Huskar.
Right.
He can't willingly walk into your towers. He just kills them so fast and innately.
But I think Shiva's question is, I still think the answer is yes, but at some point it's no. And I think at the point it became no was after they had failed 3 times in a row and mid to kill the Huskar, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you had the mentality as the team, we're doing great in our lanes, let's get PL to Diffusal Manta and then we start really fighting, I think they could have done that. I feel like every fight that happened in this game was RNG initiated onto Nigma, they got counterplayed, and then they got killed a couple of times on the chase back, right? So they chose the fights, they didn't execute them well enough, and they got hit hard. I mean, if you look at that game at minute 6 with the free farming PL and a super farmed Lina and the Huskar in the jungle, I don't think Nigma are in a position to make a super aggressive play for the next 10 minutes in that game.
Yeah, they
have
were
to give it to
purely reactive Dota.
Yeah, and they played it awesome. Nigma are very good at playing reactively when they're at their A game, so I got to give them credit. It's not easy to play like that. Like, when you're behind in this patch, it's hard.
You have to
but they made
punish
it
the
work.
mistakes that RNG made, right?
They made it
Like,
work.
it's not enough for them to just mess up. And Team Nigma makes them look worse than they already are.
Now they just got to get consistent with it, because we know the limits that this team can get to. We've seen them perform incredibly well, but we've also seen them drop the ball a little bit. Let's find out what's going to happen in the 3rd game of the series. Of course, before that 3rd game is there, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more Dota.
Great Gaming Esports, professional esports housemaker.
Play smarter with Gosu AI. Add a bot to your friend list and find out how good you are. At Fong, at team fights, at laning, and much more.
Welcome back, indeed. Continues here at the Book of El Miner. We play Miner, which is, of course, made possible by Ray Gaming, Oddsmaker, and Goes to AI. And we've got a very sad Brian here next to us. Doesn't want to share
He's
why.
looking okay.
I will not share why. I'm sure you'll see it on Reddit.
He will talk to you about the next game. So this was not just a draft win. Better yet, this was not a draft win at all. This was a draft loss from Nick, but this was outplay.
Yeah, I still stand by that. After seeing the game, I don't really change my judgment on those drafts, and I think Nigma after that game are going to be like, great job, guys. We played that really well. I don't feel like they thought they outpicked the opponent. Maybe there's something I'm missing. You know, we've talked about it. Sometimes you get blown away by something really surprising, but after those 5 to 10 minutes in that game, I did not foresee that outcome happening.
Whenever I see a draft and I think I'm wrong, it was kind of like yesterday.